do another up-close video, this time looking at the brand new media dies from Tonic Studios. So they originally, for Hochanda's 3rd birthday, I think it was, brought out the first media die they'd ever done, which was the Jigsaw Creation Die, which cuts you out a 5-piece by 5-piece jigsaw puzzle. What does it measures 5.5 inches square, so if you make 6x6 cards it will look brilliant on that, or you can do you know, home decor projects and everything as well. And they also brought out the metal shim to go with their media dies. Now I've only used the media dies in the Tonic Tangerine, but I know they do work in the Gemini, and if you want to use them in any other brand of machine, you obviously got to try it out first, but you want to use the sandwich that you would use if you were going to emboss the detail of a die. You know, when you cut it and you sort of flip out the mats and you put the tan mat on different solid plate, and then you emboss the die. It's that sandwich, but you take out your tan mat or whatever coloured mat it is, the rubber mat, and you put in your metal shim. And that is the sandwich that you use to cut these dies. I mean, it probably depends on different machines and how much pressure they apply. So whether you might need an extra shim or something to get it to have enough pressure. But you have to use the metal shim with these dies because they've got such a deep blade on them to get a nice cut through a thicker material that they will really embed themselves into your plastic cutting plates. So you want to make sure the cutting edge is going into the metal plate. Now I've been using an A4 metal plate, and you can see where I've cut the puzzle die into the plate. So it will indent your plate, but if you keep using it on both sides, it should stay reasonably flat. So just make sure, like, if it's bowing one way, you just put it up the other way the next time you use it in your sandwich. So it will indent into the plate. It's supposed to do that, because otherwise you will wreck your cutting plate for your machine. So you just want to make sure you use the sandwich that you would use to emboss a die, take the embossing mat out and put this in, and make sure the cutting edge is going into this, and that's how you get it to cut. And for the Tangerine, if you were going to emboss a die, you use your top plate and you use the one that says die embossing plate, and you put it in the combination. So you'd have this plate, then you'd put your metal shim, then you'd put your piece of cardstock, then you'd put your die cutting side down, and then you would put the green plate on top, and that is how you would cut it through the Tangerine. So I thought I'd better get that out of the way first. So yeah, so the first one they brought out was this gorgeous jigsaw die. I've done quite a few projects using this, so I will put some of the photos at the end of the projects I've done with this, and most of those projects are on my ArTi Potential channel. There's one on the CRaFTi Potential channel as well that was a Love You wedding card. Yeah, so that's the jigsaw, and cuts beautifully through thicker materials. So this is like grey board. This isn't that thick. This is, you can see there, it's some that comes on the back of one of those envelopes that has the card on the back to keep them flat. So that it cuts through that kind of grey board. Obviously it cuts through like funky foam, you know, well, normal dies cut through funky foam, but it'll cut through it cuts through fabric nicely, because I've done that for one of my projects. It can cut through normal paper and cardstock. You can deboss the dies into the card. You might want to spray it with a bit of water first, just to make sure the card doesn't crack being pushed so deeply into the pattern. You can also cut things like tin cans and craft metal and leather, like faux leather, all sorts of different things, and acetate, shrink plastic, you know, lots of different materials that you can cut. Basically, I think they said if you can cut it with a decent pair of scissors, it's probably going to cut with this. So bear that in mind when you're thinking about what things you want to cut. Okay, so anyway, so the first one was the gorgeous Jigsaw Creation Die set. Then they brought out the next set. This was part of their 17th birthday celebrations. They brought out these 5 sets. So you've got the Steam Cogs and Widgets, the traditional Timepiece, Charlotte's Frame, Cassandra's Ventana, Clementine's Glass, and Clementine's Glass, and so these are all, they're kind of like verso dies, but the intricate one has its own outside cutting edge but not an inside cutting edge, and then you get the corresponding shapes. So this one kind of looks to me like a gravestone. I'm going to do a project with that. This one looks like a sort of squat rectangle. This one's an oval, and then you get the circle in the centre of the timepiece as well. I cannot wait to use this one. I've got a really good idea to do an acrylic pour on a vinyl record and have this in the centre of it. So watch out for ArTi Potential showing that idea. I haven't actually had a chance to use any of these yet to create any projects with, but if I have made any projects by the time I edit this video, then I will put the photos at the end as well, and I'll try and remember to come back and link to videos and stuff too. But I'm going to open all of these for you so you can see exactly what's inside as well. But they also, towards the end of their 17th birthday event, I think they launched these with the terrarium and chest die sets as well, or the hamper, they were calling it hamper, the terrarium and the hamper die sets. So these are the gorgeous antique keys and locks. So I found out the easiest way to open these. There's such gorgeous packaging. I didn't want to rip into them and ruin them, so I found the easiest way to get them open nicely is to use the Tonic palette knife, or like a butter knife would probably work as well, and then going in from one side, sort of try and get it, push it all the way through, and then hold it against you and like pull towards you, sort of using a kind of sawing motion to get through the adhesive, and then you can literally prise it open, flick out that part, and then pull the dies out. And there we have it. So that gets them out really easily out of the packet. So I'm going to do the rest of these and be back in a second. Okay, so I've opened them all. I thought I would just give you a top tip on how to get the sticky stuff off of your palette knife, because now that's covered in sticky stuff. You can get like label remover and stuff, but I have this, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Oh, it's there. I've got this stuff, adhesive remover from Sticks 2, so you just want to put some of that on your piece of kitchen. Actually, you can put it straight on the knife. Just to, you want to let it soak for a little bit, just to soak into all of the adhesive that's on there. So I might just leave that. And then I'll come back to that in a second and show you how to, you just wipe it really, it's not very difficult, but I'll show you. Okay, so I've opened all the packets. So this is your, so this is your jigsaw die, and it measures 140mm, which is 14 centimetres, or 5.5 inches, and each jigsaw piece measures just under 3 centimetres, so a little bit over an inch each, just so you know. Yeah, so you can use this to create your own puzzle shapes. If you want to actually, so if you wanted it to be, say, a photograph puzzle, you'd have to use it this size. But if you wanted to do some kind of mixed media piece, or maybe even do a puzzle that's a painting that you've done, you could cut this a few times, piece together a puzzle the size that you want, because you can mix and match all these pieces and elongate it both ways, well, any direction actually. So you'd have to do that and then paint it. That would be how you would get a bigger puzzle out of it. Otherwise, you can't really do that any other way. But or you can just use the jigsaw pieces on a project. Like on my ArTi channel, I put up a video of how I decorated a notebook and then just black gessoed it all and sprayed it with the Nouveau Mica Mist to make it look like a galaxy notebook. So lots of different ways to use this die set. Then I'll show you the clock and the cogs first, because these are my favourites. I cannot wait to cut this clock out. I mean, I could even do it. Do I have a piece of card? Oh, I don't think I've got a piece of thick stuff here. Where would I have something? Okay, I will destroy this envelope just so I can cut the clock. So this is basically the kind of chipboard that you can cut just off the back of an envelope. So with the clock, you can cut this. Well, that's quite good. It shows you how it was on the card. It's really heavy, actually. You can tell there's a lot of metal in there. If I hold it up, you can probably see just how deep that cutting edge is on it. Have I got another die? Okay, this is just a lawn fawn die I just happen to have sitting here. So that is the normal cutting edge of any normal die, and that is the thick edge of the mixed media dies, or the media dies. So you can see, I mean, it's probably triple the height actually of a normal blade, so that's how it can cut through such thick materials. So yeah, so the clock, it comes with an outer cutting edge already on it, and so if you cut this, it would have a solid centre, but for what I want it for, it's good. I want it to have a hollow centre, so I'm going to use the circle die that comes with it. And actually, this is going to be really good. Say you're into your like triple thick heat embossing and stuff. You can cut your grey board or your sturdier cardboard just with a basic circle shape, and then do a cool technique with your melted embossing powders on it too. So, or resin as well, actually, or acrylic pouring. So you know, there's loads of options. It's just great to have some nice basic shapes. So I'm going to tape this down. And then I'm going to use my new black handled scissors from Tonic. Gorgeous black handled ones. I'm just going to trim the cardboard down. Yeah, and then I'm going to cut this. So let's see how they cut. I mean, I've cut the jigsaw die before, but I've not cut any of the smaller dies before. And I think because with the smaller dies, because they're sort of over a lesser area, I think they're actually more versatile than the puzzle dice. You can probably find there's some things that the puzzle maybe doesn't quite cut through, but the smaller dice probably will cut through it, especially if you're just using like the circle. So we've got the tangerine, and then the cutting sandwich we want is the white plate, the metal shim, the Tonic one is A5, but I'm still using the A4 one, and then you want your substrate and then your die with cutting edge down, and then you want your green plate on top. And you just want to run that through. Then, perfect, look at that. Once through and it's cut absolutely perfectly. So, let's put all this away. And then here we go, let's take it out. Now, see, I have a perfect circle to use for something. Do an acrylic pour on it, you could do the triple thick heat embossing, you can do anything really on that. that. That is really cool. I mean, I was watching all the shows on the telly, but that is cool when you actually cut it yourself. And then you can poke out all the rest of the pieces. They're perfectly cut. They're just, because it's a thicker material, you're going to have to poke them because they're not going to fall out as easily if it was the thinner cardstock. Oh, it's really nice, and it gives I'll show you in a sec. It gives you that really cool beveled edge too, which is lovely. Oh, I cannot wait to try this project. I might have to do it tomorrow now. That is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I like it even more now I've cut it. I didn't think that was possible. That is really, really nice. And look, it's got that gorgeous like beveled edge as well. Lovely. I'm really excited to use this now. It's really sturdy too. You get all that intricate detail and it's like really, really sturdy too. So, poke that out. So that is the timepiece. Let's put it back on its piece of card. Put it back the right way. And then the circle. Cannot wait to try my idea now. Okay, so that's the timepiece. Oh, and the clock face measures 4.5 inches in diameter, or 11.5 centimetres. So that is, it's too wide for an A6 card, but I think it would still look nice partly on an A6 card actually. This is the kind of size of card I always make. This is my CRaFTi Potential rectangle, so you know it would still fit nicely just on a card too. You don't have to cut it out of thicker materials. They're branded as a media die because they are a thicker edge die that can cut through thick materials, but you don't have to. You know, there's nothing saying you have to cut something thick. You can just use them as you would your regular cutting dies, but you will still need to use the metal shim. Even if you're just cutting a thinner material, the reason why you're using the metal shim is because of the thickness of the blade on the die, or the ridge on the die. So you will still need the metal shim. So that is the timepiece, and you get the little hands as well, if I can show you. So they would go on really nicely, they fit on perfectly. And then we have the, they've called them Steam, Cogs and Widgets. Really nice set of cog images, and there's a gorgeous chain as well, which is really good for borders and everything. Lovely different styles of cogs actually as well. And well, yeah, one thing I was thinking, so you get these circles that cut out the centre of the cogs. If you're going to be cutting out like the grey board, you're going to get a nice thick decent circle once you've done that. And for things like spinner cards, if you usually, they're called penny slider cards, aren't they? You usually stick 2 pennies together with like a circular foam pad or something, but as that's going round in your card channel, the edge of the card kind of wears down the foam pad in between the 2 pennies, and it can like wreck the motion and it doesn't spin as nicely. But I'm thinking use a couple of these thick card circles as the pennies, and then use some of the smaller circles, stack maybe like 2 or 3 in between and stick them, and then they would act as what the foam pad would usually be, but they're made of cards, so they're not going to wear down. But I'm not sure if that's going to work, but that's what I was thinking. Anyway, I was on a tangent. Yeah, so I've while I was away on holiday, all of the 17th birthday shows were on the telly, so I was jotting down tons of ideas to use everything with. So hopefully some of them, I will have filmed some of them by the time this video goes up, so I'll add photos at the end. But anyway, that is them. Then you have the 3 frame die sets. So you have, let's say the names again, Charlotte's Frame is the oval one, then Cassandra's Ventana is the rectangular one, and Clementine's Glass is the one that I think looks like it has a coffin, a gravestone shape in the centre of it. And I've got an idea to use this as well, so hopefully I'll get around to doing that before Halloween as well. Yeah, so they've got the cutting edge on the outside, and then the intricate detail, and then you can keep them as a solid piece, or you can use any of the inside shapes to cut your centre aperture in them. And on this one, and the top of this one, you actually get two more intricate ones, and you've got a cute little oval in this one, and a larger oval with the dots, then you've got a sort of squat rectangle with the dots, and then that sort of gravestone shape. So the outer frame of this one is 4 inches by 5.7 inches, so it would fit really nicely on a 5x7 card, I think. Then this one measures 4 inches by 5.1 inches, so that would probably fit on my favourite kind of size of card. It would just fit. So if you like making sort of A2 cards as well, that one just fits perfectly. And then this one measures 3.8 inches by 5.1 inches, so same kind of height as that one but slightly narrower. And then you've got all the different sizes. Let's measure the inside pieces for you. So the oval aperture or frame that it would give you, the interior would be, it's about 8 centimetres by 6.5, which is 2.5 inches by just over 3 inches. And your little rectangle in this one is 2 2/8 by 2 6/8, or it is just under 6 centimetres by just under 7 centimetres. And this one is just over 6 centimetres, and the tallest part is 8 centimetres, or in inches the width is about 2.5 inches, and the tallest part is about 3 inches and 1/8. So there's just quick measurements for you in case you're interested. Yeah, so they're the gorgeous frame dies. They're great for, you know, like the typical kind of a mixed media canvas. They often have some kind of focal element, and everything sort of comes out from that. So you could, if you're a beginner at the mixed media thing, you can sort of start off your focal element as being one of these 3 shapes, and you could have cogs cascading out of it, or, you know, little embellishments that you've got from all over the place, you know, lots of different things, and I'm sure I will be doing a couple of them over on my ArTi channel too. And then finally, the last set they've brought out is the antique keys and locks. So you've got one key says 21, one key says 18, then you've got 2 fancy keys, and you've got 3 little padlocks. And actually, the end of the 2 keys that have the numbers on are identical. This one's a tiny bit different. It's got less wiggles on its... Oh no, they are actually, they're different. No, they're different. Yeah, and then this one's got sort of a bigger end to the key as well. And the gorgeous padlocks too. These actually, yeah, they, I think I said at the beginning of the video, they brought these ones out with the terrarium and hamper die set. So, like, say for the hamper box, if you cut off the top of the padlock, that could be the lock on the front of like a treasure chest or something for that. That might be a video coming up at some point too. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this close-up look at all of the media dies from Tonic, and I will plop some photos on the end of anything I've made by the time I edit this video, so you can see them in use. And there will be lots of videos on my ArTi Potential channel, and I'll probably even sneak them into my CRaFTi channel as well, CRaFTi Potential. So thank you for watching, bye!